community advocate. I've always been a fighter for the underdog. I've always been a person that I will stand up when I feel it necessary to stand up. When I get that to that level where I'm cussing you out, and I don't even want to say I was cussing you out. I may have used a few cuss words, but I'm talking to you about the fact that you are comfortable in your ignorance and that you are causing damage because there are young men and women, old men and women that's listening to you and think that it's okay. Because it's just like I'll go back to little Boosie's daughter. The reason she talked like that is because her daddy talked like that. So if it's so you've made it, you've normalized it for her. So if you normalize it for her, then she's not gonna be bothered when another man talk to her like that because she's gonna come right back with the same energy. And that's just simple. That's it. There's no depth to it. It is just like anything else. If you are raised around a particular thing and depending on the type of personality you got, if this is your father, right? We put so much emphasis on that. This is your daddy. It's different than being a daddy than a father. It's different. No, no, it's not. What are you teaching your child? How are you protecting your child?
I
What?
got I got something for you, chocolate.
Yeah, go.
I
Oh,
got
I'm
something for
sorry.
you.
Let Esso speak. He just got back up here after you got it, baby. I'm a pause up. I'm a
But yeah, I'm okay. But I got something for you. Now I was thinking about this, right?
Oh yeah,
The
nah.
Book
I'm,
of
I'm gonna
Wisdom.
let you cook. I ain't, I'm gonna jump in when I feel the need,
Uh,
though. I appreciate
yeah,
that.
she was cooking, but she had something that I had maybe just think about it, right? So the Book of Wisdom, that is the Bible, that even whether you want to
Oh,
believe
whoa,
in
whoa, 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 whoa.
all these things
Sorry, no, let's start with it.
and
Ah,
whatever the case may be, it's a book of wisdom. And in it, it says that a man should take care of his own home before he would even speak to others, whether it's to God's people or to other people. You would want to have your home in order. And as you're saying, this is indicative of that. It's proving what you're saying. Everything you just said is proving that as you said, she's her father's child, and he's speaking to others. His house is not in order.
right.
Um, all these things right here are things that, as you would say, wouldn't be a role model, but it is the role model of many black children, as you would say.
Exactly. It's just like anything else. We talk about, when did we normalize calling women bitches? And when did we normalize saying this and saying that? It's because it's in the music. It's in the movies. It's in the arguments we have. It's in the vernacular. It's in those things. So if we've already normalized it,
It
calling
is
these
what it
women,
is.
and
Nah, honestly, I don't think
That's a fact. That's
it's.
a fact.
I think what happens is when you say normalize, it's kind of like where we take the power away from something, and in doing so, by using those words, it becomes more of ingrained in our day to day speech.
no,
Um,
I'm not knocking it at all. Because I use the terminology as well. I done called folk a few choice names as well. I completely agree with that. When I say normalize, what I mean is we cannot be surprised then if our child, if every time you turn around, your words are a particular word, right? It could be anything, right? Because you could turn any word into a weapon, truly. Depending on, at one point in time, like simp, right? A simp to me, and I'm gonna tell you exactly. You find you one all day online, all day on 90 Day Fiance. That's one of my favorite shows because you being talked to like a dog in the street, but you gonna buy a plane ticket, gonna fly to another country, and don't even know the culture. You spending money, and then you saying you can't find you nobody, but you're gonna let somebody abuse you from across the water. Co- Hello, and then you still sending money. A simp is somebody who is looking for a Russian bride and will pay tens, 20, and $30,000 for submissiveness. Then she come here, learn the language, get her education, and drop your ass like a hot potato. Now you a
Facts. We
simp.
out. Facts. Go ahead. Cook. Facts.
You a simp.
Facts. I said it. I canceled it. Facts. Go ahead.
A simp is somebody that know you come in the house, it smell like somebody been doing everything that God would close his eyes to, right? But Oh, she ain't cheating on me. You a simp. I'll never forget when they released that song from the P Diddy camp. I don't want to know. That's a simp.
Oh
You
yeah,
don't
that's a simp
love
anthem right there.
yourself. Exactly. You don't love yourself at all. And I was like, no, no man would be okay with it. But you got a man singing on it. You got men rapping on it. That's a
Yeah,
simp, right? So when you listen to this music, Drake, he a simp. Okay, I don't care how much money he got. That man is a simp. He got rings collected of how many women he done proposed to. Why? He don't love himself. You got all this money, all this fame. Women want to be with you and have your kids, and you pouring hot sauce and draws and all kinds of crazy shit because you don't want to be caught up with another child. But you still shooting your shot at 19 and 20-year-olds. That's a simp. So a man being respectful of a woman or another person or another man, that's calling you a simp. Well, here's another example. You a simp when you got to jump on a panel and cape for men over some bullshit because you ain't got no self-esteem. That is the definition of a simp. Come on. Come on. That's all I'm saying. Now, if I was being facetious or mean or lying on folk, that'd be one thing. I would hope that y'all would correct me and say, nah, that ain't how it roll. But if I say these things, then, well, it ain't me. It is you. You done it before. You done tricked off. What T.I. say? It ain't tricking if you got it. No, sir, it's still tricking. That's why they call it that. You can be a billionaire and you still
you
trick.
can have whatever you like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You ain't telling me that you just
And
give it.
I'm thinking that's something women would want though. That's not something you would preach for, like you would want.
Me having anything I want is not the same as having a quality man in my life. Because things depreciate. Cars depreciate, homes depreciate. The minute you drive a brand new BMW, black, cold, looking with all of the accoutrements that I want, top down. I got Gucci, Fendi all over my body, La Pros on my underclothes. But I'm coming home to a man that gives two fucks about me. What does that stuff matter then? You just buying things to keep me with you and to keep me quiet. Go shopping, baby. That's what rich men do. I don't need you in my business. Go with your friends. Go get some pedicures and manicures. That's where all that started. So it's like if we're going to denigrate a man because he's like they're people, like they are part of the community. You can't put them all in a box. There's things you shouldn't say. You should try to want better, do better. And to call them simps lets me know you have no idea what it's like. You ain't got enough money to trick off. You tricking off of some Taco Bell and some McDonald's.
Yeah, it's different levels in this shit. You know what I'm saying? We can't all take them out to Nobu's or whatever.
No. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying you take somebody to Chick-fil-A and then the next day you beating down her door talking about I paid a lot of money for you, Diamond.
Yeah, that nigga tripping. Yeah, fact. That nigga tripping.
And even on the opposite end, whether it's not even Chick-fil-A, you could take her to Warren's. That doesn't mean that you are entitled to anything.
Exactly. But unfortunately, sir, you and I both know that some men, I'll say that, a sector of men believe that they wallet and what's between their legs qualifies them to tell other men what to do.
That's correct.
Yeah, that is correct. And that's the saddest thing that I ever heard in my life because I've heard men say that. That's one of the Fight Club arguments that I had heard where one of the dudes, I don't know who he was, I don't know the name and stuff, but he was like, I ain't gotta listen to no nigga just because he got money. And I was thinking that, like, wow, like You think just because a person has money? And I
Yes.
actually had a rant.
Think about it. Why do, and if you, I'm not talking about the political side, but why Donald Trump was such a big presence in the rap circle? How many videos have you seen him in? How many rap songs has Donald Trump or reference to him in them by some of the big players that's still out here today? And then you wonder why young black men who are now older black men revere him so much, because his life was put up on a pedestal as if this man had was Moses and came down with the two scripts of how to make money. That man ain't worked hard a day in his life. His daddy gave him $1 million as a birthday present. I'm wondering if anybody in the
Yeah,
chat
I already know that. I already know that story. Yep. Everybody be good.
exactly. Well, not even so much as that, because it's what you do with the money. Because he had the money, but you know what he did with it. He's not a businessman. He's a con artist, right? You were talking about ghostwriting. Who you think wrote the art of the deal? Donald Trump, a man that don't even like to read, and he said it. I don't read.
No, I've done it before for some people. They'll just
See,
pay you to come down there. They'll fly you out. They'll put you in a nice hotel, and then you just work with them every day and write down all the stuff they want you to
oh,
know about them, and
see,
then write it.
he didn't even do that. He said, "Here's the name of the book. Here's my picture. Now go create it." Attorneys, lawyers, y'all get involved. That's it. That he has always had a team of people protecting him from the mistakes he's made, and that's just it. And it is interesting to me because, again, if I'm gonna talk about somebody, if I'm gonna give you a name, if I'm dealing with something, and this is just me personally, I've already done my research enough to know what I'm talking about, in the sense of anybody could take what I'm saying right now, go and find out if I'm lying or not in an instant, right? And that's what I mean by being careful about what you say and what you do. It's both, not one or the other. It's both. And so when you try to put people in a box, but then you don't want to be put in a box, you don't want to be pushed in to a pookie, a bandit. Oh, y'all so offended if those names are used, and you can dox women and send the FBI after them and all kinds of crazy stuff I done heard in these spaces where women have had to move and they ain't said nothing. They just on the internet. And it is insane. Or if you have an OnlyFans, you a hoe. If you on Instagrams, you a hoe. So why you on there again? How you see them?
Hoes need love too.
That's right. Ain't nothing wrong with
And
being
that's a fact.
one of the oldest professions in the world. You think
It
men
is the
just
oldest
buy
profession.
men for box?
There's no older profession.
Man, come
And
on.
that's the sad thing that men talk about it so much, right? But that's where the bulk of the money come from. So, like, what are we having this argument for? Why you continuously keep arguing if all the money is pumped into from men? Because women are not paying for that.
No,
Not in mass, anyways. I
but
mean,
we
it's
don't
probably some
argue.
women, but not in mass.
But you know what? And the truth be told, y'all be giving it away. It be bargain basement. You could get you some upper echelon. You could get you some prime rib. It's a whole lot of variety, and you really don't have to work that hard. Because if you ain't bad to look at, you got a little figure on you, and they like what they see, they're gonna give it to you.
That's the saddest thing about the passport bros. Like, I'll be watching their videos and they be showing the girls they with, and half of them be like,
Uh,
"Bro, now you mean to tell me, bro, that you going somewhere where you telling me the women is the cheapest that it could be and all that different stuff that you be hollering on the internet, and that's what you come back with, player? Like,
yeah.
come on."
Did you see that video of the lady? She was Filipino and she was beating her black husband with a broom and a rake. I thought they were submissive.
No, they're not, man. They be cutting up. But see, the difference is those men, they ain't never like experienced different women or whatever the case may be, so they don't know. But they're the same type of way. They be cutting up, doing all kind of stuff.
Oh, thank you. They do it in their own country. The
They
stuff,
do. Man, I
right?
done seen it. over there where I forgot where I was at. I think I was in the Philippines, and I seen a lady throw a whole TV out at a man while he
Yes,
was leaving with his stuff.
they don't care. They don't care. They'll throw water on them. Like for instance, it was a conversation about Brittany Renner. Why didn't they kick her out the studio then? If they felt so disrespected, why she's still there?
Because
Because
it
she
was good for ratings.
hello, come on. So your morals, to me, you take that shit down the street. Because if you got morals, you're gonna kick them off your show. You're not gonna let nobody be up there acting like that, whether it's a man or a woman. But how many men have we seen throw water on women? I've been to concerts. I'm standing there at the concert. I paid the ticket. I'm having a good time. And next thing I know, I got water on me. Why? I didn't come here for that. I didn't ask you for that. You know, it's
Oh, you must have been
insane.
close to the
I was
stage.
close, baby. Listen, Mama don't go to concerts unless she could see you breathing up there, baby. That's all I'm gonna say. I like, I like, you know,
You gotta see
I
the
was
whites
at a
in the
red
eyes. I get
man.
it.
Yeah, I want to see your teeth. I want to see if you brush. But
Hmm.
I went to see Method Man and Red Man in Vegas.
Oh,
Woo!
okay.
I was having a good time, and you know what? I said,
I
okay, my
bet you
girl.
caught a contact off of them because I had seen them one time. I know you
Mhm.
caught a contact because they was up there smoking.
Oh, I was already lit before I got there, Chris. I'm an OG. You feel me? Like yeah,
I
nah.
know that's right.
We carrying it in the purse. We hitting it in the car. We gonna be nice and lit before we hit the stage. That's why the only thing you do is sipping. After that, you like, nah, I'm gonna keep this buzz. Um, but because I like to enjoy things. I like finer things, but I like to drive down to the hood and go get me a good fish sandwich from the Nation of Islam brothers that you know, Mr. Khalif and them, because I know they clean with their fish. That's all.
That's
You know what I
real.
mean? And it's like we know we have these different parts of us. Each human being, no, we're not exactly the same, but we are a prism. We got all kinds of sides to us, whether we know it or not. But
Yeah,
what
we
we
all got the same basic necessities. You know
yes,
what I'm saying?
thank you.
Food, clothing, shelter.
Right.
Need to
And
be loved.
yes, speak on it, sir. We need that. You know what I mean? It is necessary, but it has to be healthy. But what has happened is love is no longer the question. It is it has become a side period. Like you go get your whole plate of good food and you put your corn on the side. That's where love is sitting when we talk about that in these spaces. And then you have
Yeah, love not even on the plate sometimes.
yes,
It's
talk
not a
about
necessity. Like it used to be. Oh yeah, you gotta have your basic food groups. Make sure you,
it.
you know.
Right.
Nah, people not even doing all that. All them other things. No, just give me what I want, and that's it. And that actually is lasting longer than that love because we'll see. I mean, I don't know how many of y'all parents lasted. Y'all parents' marriages lasted, but I know as far as for mine, they didn't. And I know as far as for most of my friends, they didn't. That's if they were married in the first place. And so what we're seeing is a whole nation raised by women. You know what I'm saying? And it's like we were trying to kind of make sense of those world. That the whole manosphere, the whole same talking points is because it's a whole lot of people who have that same mind state, kind of the same upbringing, and they trying to come up with different innovative, ideas and how to deal with women. No, you gotta pretty much just go with what works. But instead of knowing what works, the only thing they know is the toxic shit that's been working.
Right. Well, because again, think about it. This is another thing we put on a pedestal. Who gets more celebrity time? Who is in these blogs? Who is all over Instagram? What songs are all over TikTok? The toxicness has always been celebrated more than what they call us do-gooders or we want to kumbaya. People think that's an insult.
Yeah,
It's
it
not an
is.
insult.
Or call
It
you Hotep, whatever. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And it's like because you want peace, because you want
Right.
joy, because you want happiness with your partner. Those things first you find with you. But if you don't know what it looks like to have peace for yourself, to have joy for yourself, to love yourself. No, you're not going to be able to teach it to your children. No, you're not going to know what it feels like in a relationship because you are doing the mechanics. That's why men think, even to this day, that the only things that they are good for are protect, provide, and I don't know what the other one is. I don't know what the other P is.
Provision, protect, and provide. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, me too. I don't know. But you're more than that because
You
you're
talking about
even.
you talking about the four P's?
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
what
talk me
are
through
they?
it. What
What
are
are
they?
they?
It's provision, provide, protection, procreation.
Oh, okay, okay.
Procreation is
Now,
the last one because you got family and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Some people
yeah,
forget that one, but it's the last one because, of course, if you get a woman, you're gonna want to have a fan. I'm not saying
right.
everybody does, but you
Yeah,
get
but
the
no, we're
concept,
talking about a general.
right?
Right, like just
Yeah.
sure. We can speak in generalities.
But
That
there's the thing, the way that the technological advance, not just technological, but sociological advances have gone, it's not like you need a man for provision. You don't need a man for protection. You can get a gun. You know what I'm saying? You can get a dog or whatever. As far as for companionship, you can get a pet, whatever. And it's not necessarily like if you want some D, yeah, that shit is easy to come by for a woman. Like all you gotta do is go outside.
I was gonna
So
say.
you
Yeah,
ain't even gotta go outside. You can swipe right now nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Swipe life.
you know
So all
what?
of these the
Yeah,
talking points are getting
That's a
ate up
fact.
and it's getting challenged by the newer generation of women who are saying, I don't need a nigga for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if they don't need you for that, you become obsolete. Same way how these robots coming in. It's like, okay, if we have these people who were at one time ringing up these customers and now they ringing up their own sales, what do I need cashiers for?
customer service. Hey, is this correct? Item changes, price changes, warmth, human interaction, the things that they still study in advertising and marketing. It's not so much as that we don't need human beings because we will always, and there is nothing. And I'll stake all the money I don't have and how many ever years I live in this earth. We will never be an all technological society. It's just not going to happen. Globally, you're not going to get it. You may get the power players, but you're not going to have the whole world technologically in the same place at any given time. You're just not. And so it's like we might again, we all have the ability to have our own platforms. We all can be celebrities at this point now. Celebrity isn't even what it used to be, right? It was a gatekeep to that. Now anyone can. If you get enough views, if the right person see you, baby, you on and popping. However, if that's what you want, by all means. But I want to say this to you, Eso. Is that how am I want to say that right? Is it ESO or
Yeah,
Eso?
that's right.
Okay.
EOS.
So I don't think that men are obsolete. That's not what it is. And even with the younger women, because I have to admit to the fact that the mothers and now grandmothers, my friends are grandmothers, and we ain't even deep in our 40s yet. Like, because we were having kids young, because our mamas had kids young. The cycle goes on because it's normalized. Because if you see young girls or young women, it's just like, I'm a hip hop head. Tupac said the same thing. Brenda got a baby. If you listen to what's my girl's name? Shit. I can't I got too many things in my brain. But there was another song, Georgie, right? These were all hip hop songs, both of them. And they all talk to the same thing, which was you listening to, let's say me and Chris fall in love, right? Let's say Chris is telling me everything I want to hear. He tell me he gonna be that man for me. He got it. He gonna hold it down. He'll never cheat. He ain't gonna never leave me. I'm the best thing he ever had. Because men say these things. And then we fool around and I get pregnant. Well, he wasn't thinking about that part. Thank you, Miss Lily, MC Light.
I'm gonna be a bandit like some of them guys that we be talking about in the spaces. I'm gonna be like, man, it was your
Yes,
fault, Chocolate. You got pregnant.
yes.
Shoot, what you
He
mean?
out
Like
here.
we had the agreement
Right.
that she wasn't supposed to get pregnant, Chocolate, and
Yes.
then you went off and you got
Right.
pregnant on me, man.
But
So
he's not
like, shoot.
going, right. He ain't gonna tell his friends how he was begging and pleading so he could take off the condom, or begging and pleading because he want to feel it better, or begging and pressuring me. If you love me, baby, I love you. I ain't got nothing. I ain't gonna give you nothing. Now I'm at the clinic next week because I'm trusting him. I'm believing him. But I'm told, pick better. But how was I supposed to know he was lying to me? Even if the FBI and the CIA, with all the tools and all the things that they've done over the years, they can still tell you right now, we can't even 100% vet. But my ass from the hood, or a girl that don't know nothing, I'm supposed to know Chris lying to me? He's showing me affection. He taking me out. He taking me to McDonald's. We getting Popeyes every weekend. We doing Netflix and chill. We doing all the things that when I tell my girls, they like, oh my God, I'm jealous, boo. Your man love you. Everybody pumping me up. Girl, he love you. He picking me up from work. All the things that he feels that he gonna get me to give him what he wants. How will I know his intent until he's not getting what he wants anymore? That's when you find out who a person is. Man or woman, don't matter. These are not gender specific, because a woman could do the same. She could be telling a man any and everything, and oh baby, you the man, you the only man for me. Blah 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 blah. You the finest, you the handsomest. Nobody can tell. There's nothing compared to you. You are my king. You is my God. We is together. And then, but she's still, she's still sleeping with her ex who a felon. But you paying all her bills. So there is no 100% way. Our body tells us. Sometimes our minds will give us a little bit of heads up. And some of us aren't strong enough, or to what Chris had said earlier, believe in ourselves enough to trust our intuition. That kill a lot of these problems, right? When what you know is when that first, when it start tasting funny in your mouth, and you pretend like it don't, now it's on you.
That's facts.
Now I'll blame you, right? Now I'll say, SO, come on, man. She told you, you felt it, sir. Why are you mad?
You ignored that taste.
Yes.
You ignored it.
You ignored it. You ignored that crazy shit.
Nah,
now,
for
if
real.
you turn back and say to me, you know what, though? I love that toxic shit. I can't do nothing but respect you.
Something about them toxic bitches. I don't know what it is.
Yes, you can't get out of it. And it's the same for women. You know that, but like, he crazy, girl. But I can't. It's just something about it. Hey, if you love it, if you like it, I love it. Mm-hmm. Now, when you need me or you want to cry, you done stole your money again, I'll pick up the phone. I'm just gonna listen quiet. I ain't gonna say nothing. I ain't gonna say nothing at all. Not to nobody else. You know what I'm saying?
And I get what Chris was saying earlier about the whole clean your own porch before you look at other people. You know what I'm saying? And it's certain things that is not being implemented. There's too many people who saying, I think you said this earlier too. Do as I say and not as I do.
Exactly.
I was brought up off of that.
Yeah,
like I'm supposed to ignore. You said what?
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. I'm agreeing. I'm sorry. I said yes. I was raised that way too. Go ahead.
Right, like I'm supposed to ignore all of the negative, all the bad shit. You know what I'm saying? Yep. I'm supposed to ignore all of that, and I'm supposed to only focus on this part, or only on this. It's the same thing, because that's why I had I was about to go in on you about that whole book of wisdom, calling the Bible that, but I'm like, at a young age, right? We were taught, okay, Easter Bunny, Santa Claus,
right,
all that, right? And Jesus, right?
Yep.
And then after, oh no, these are fake, but this one's real.
These people, we don't really know if he existed or not. We don't have 100% proof. We know that there is no such thing. And I'm glad you said that. So let me ask y'all this. We grown now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine you sleep. You got kids. You go in their room and it's some big ass rabbit putting Easter eggs under your baby's bed. I mean, me,
I'm gonna be 100. My daddy told me it didn't. None of that stuff was true. Straight up, he
right.
told me like he told me Jesus was true, and I did my own research on that. But that ain't up for discussion. But
Yeah,
I
I
mean, it may
got you.
be later. It may be. I mean, it depends.
He
But either
said you
way,
did your research. You funny as shit for that.
Chris, I love you.
but either way, yeah, he was just like Santa Claus ain't real. None of that ain't real. If I'm about all that stuff, because I bought it. Shit, I work hard
Right,
for it.
right. And that is the thing. You have parents, depending on how you was raised, they was gonna tell you. But you got years and years of this though. This is generation after generation of indoctrination that some white man that live up in the North Pole is watching. Now think how creepy this sounds. So
See
an
you when you
old
sleeping.
white,
Yeah.
right? You seeing everything I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
like Jesus. And if you're raised in the church, and no offense to the religion, I'm saying, but if you raised in church, I had to go to the Easter event where we doing egg hunts. Why? These is
There
plastic
all day.
eggs. My mama make a cracker egg. Ain't no chicken coming out.
Right.
It's an egg. I'm eating it with bacon and some bread and some syrup. Like I'm not. Why are we painting these eggs? What is happening here? And then one day, I had this conversation with my mother, and I said, "Mom, now listen, I'm gonna be 100 with you. Why y'all lie like y'all do to us, and wonder why we crazy? Because you telling me, Santa, see what you doing. If you being bad, you ain't gonna get nothing. What? Well, where was he when I was getting beat up in the bathroom? Like what? Santa, see what you doing?
Right. Don't worry, them kids getting a lump of coal for Christmas.
Exactly. And
They had the flash kicks.
School, right? The bad kids in school would come back to school after the holiday looking straight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm over here with my kids on, like, damn, I was good. I did all my homework and everything.
Right.
They got
I did all my homework.
And they ain't even get none of them. I wanted some. See, I like G.I. Joes and Transformers and all of that kind of stuff. My only girly shows was Jam and She-Ra. I don't know if y'all know about She-Ra though. That was what's his name? He-Man's cousin. Yeah, but if you go back and go look at those cartoons, it's us. You know, people did a lot of drugs in the 80s and was making cartoons for kids, and they shouldn't have been, right? Like some of that stuff was sus. But if you walked in and your baby is asleep in some big ass bug the size of a human being is putting money under their pillow. What? Who came up with this?
Someone Tooth Fairy, all that. Yes. That's what I'm saying. All those fairy tales, fantasy.
Like, what is you doing?
I'm supposed to believe that this tall tale is real.
And then you wonder why children have a problem or have the inability to differentiate between the two. So if this is a lie, what else have you told me it's not true?
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's like, this is got to be one of them lies that you don't know is lie.
Right.
It's like
I don't know.
You believe in it.
Yeah.
And you don't know who told you that. It's like, okay, who are the parents to the parents who made up that story?
They ain't here no more.
Because I already know God is the cop-out answer to where do we all come from? Why are we here? You know, all those hard questions.
Because don't nobody know.
Right. What
I'm gonna be
100%.
I stake
all those hard questions.
They don't know.
God, go to God. You know what I'm saying?
Well, because they don't know. They can't answer. They can't.
Right.
They can't tell.
Nobody can.
Even and you see it even in, going to church with nothing but white folks. They use the same tactics. But
I got a question.
Yeah.
Does the account of a person who's passed on, like they have them people that like some of the things be on YouTube where the person went, was on had an operation, they passed on the table, and then they seen all that stuff that the Bible talks about. Does that person account matter?
I
Do
mean,
you
it
think that
matters. Oh, go ahead, baby. Let's finish.
to
I
I'll
was
no,
answer.
I'm just saying what you
if I
said,
could
Esso?
if I can answer real quick. Yeah, so a lot of the times when we're on YouTube, what we'll see is only what somebody may show. Like right now, you know what I'm saying? I can see only you, right? And you might be in a mansion or something like that. You know what I mean? Whatever, right? 8 bedroom, 12 bed, whatever, right? You might say all that. But in all actuality, we only see what you are showing. Same thing for if that person passes out or die or whatever on the table, right? That person may say, "Oh, yeah, I was dead and I was brought back." You know what I mean? And I saw the light and I know what happens and Jesus said this, right? And it's like, okay, I'm supposed to take your account for same way I would take your account for you having 12 bedrooms. You get what I'm saying? And it's the same way as far as for because the Bible is hearsay. It's somebody else is saying this is what's happening, or God said this to me, and then it's not like
That's
God
true.
is
But
speaking to
I would ask you a
everyone.
question, Esso.
Go ahead.
Um, that is true that the Bible is hearsay, but if you took it and you went and looked at the walls in Egypt and it showed Israel as a sign being on the wall, and you had a historian, someone who can read hieroglyphics, tell you that, would you say that partially some of that hearsay would be some facts within that we can look up in history
So
wise, as in what we can see on this earth?
even in that example, someone would be looking at these symbols on this wall, right? And that's pretty much where all religion comes from. These interpretations, right? And so it's also meaning lost in translation. So the original text, whatever the original person who actually wrote these hieroglyphs, who knew what it meant, that person is no longer with us. So what we're doing is only going off of our interpretation of what they were saying. And what happens is meaning, not just meaning gets lost in translation, but what's also inserted is our own biases. And one major bias in the Bible is the misogyny in it. If you can name me women in there that are beneficial or who don't have any asterisk on their name, then you would be hard pressed. You get what I mean? Like versus all these men doing these great things. You get what I mean? And then putting on that whole burden of the reason for childbirth is because of original sin, you know, when in all actuality the only way any man or woman is born is through the womb of a woman, and is downplayed and is made into something that is not necessarily a book of science, but a book of allegory or a book of sayings. You know what I mean? Like, but what really matters would be the message that person, whoever is interpreting these hieroglyphs, the message that person who wrote them. I think that is more relevant to today's society than what exactly it says or who said what.
That I like what you said. That makes sense. And when the the professor broke it down what it was, the hieroglyphics when we were in Egypt. Basically, it was under the pharaoh. I think it's Khufu's footstool, which Israel was one of the places that he conquered, and he had it under his feet, as of saying, I guess, because a lot of the pharaohs had different things under there. But it does make sense what you're saying. It's only our interpretation of because we're not really sure. No one can really tell us, yeah, that's correct, because they are all gone. But I still don't think we can discredit someone who's spent their life, if they studied it for 50 years. We can't discredit
No, I
what they.
mean, honestly, if you study a lot for 50 years, it don't matter how long. Matter of fact, 100 years, 1,000 years. does that make that lie true?
I'm asking, I'm saying, what lie is it that you were referring to? So I'm saying it's a lot of physical history that we can look at that can back up many of the things the Bible says. So I'm saying, like, what is it that you're trying to say? Because that's not nothing I'm here saying. We can't dispute the Roman scrolls that are written, that people have tested the paper to say that that paper was back during that time period, and that ink matches the time period, and the blood matches the Pacific Emperor, his bloodline, or whatever like that. We can't discredit those particular things. I mean, you are correct. It is hearsay. We possibly can say a person may have been making this particular thing up, but I believe that the physical history we have here in this whole world does back up a lot of things.
I get what you're saying, Chris. I think, if I'm not mistaken, please correct me if I'm wrong. Yes, are there locations like Galilee? Are there different peoples, names of places that we can find still to this day, right? The geographer, the geographer, the the geography, just like how, you know, you can find certain things. Yes, does it describe certain feelings that humans feel? Does it still have validity in the sense of when we do interpret certain parts of the Bible? Um, you know, does it match what you may feel today? That I don't think that's what the discount, you know what I mean? Nobody is discounting that part. I think what it is that that same book has been used to justify pillaging, graping, children being taken, you being stoned, women being told that you are less. I'm still waiting to see a man. I would like to see that replicated. I ain't gonna lie. If you telling me that women came from your ribs, shouldn't there be even now an indication in men's ribs or something that says in the theory that that is possible? Things like, how would you feel? And I'll use an example. Here's something I have an issue with. If I came to you, Chris, because you know we still together, right? And so I tell you, I say, listen, I know me and you done had relations and made these other kids, but this baby here, like God put it inside my body. Nothing happened though. There was no intercourse or nothing. It was just poof, I know I'm pregnant. Because you know, they tried to make it seem like Mary was a virgin, but she wasn't. Her and Joseph was married. They had
It
children.
does say that in there that she wasn't a virgin. It says that people just don't read it.
There you go, Chris. That is to my point. If you read the Bible, a lot of the things that they say in churches and religious texts, and like to Esau's point, the interpretation has a huge negative, because before we got the King James version that we still use today, that now we can go to maybe other historians or people who have written against it and say, oh, wait a minute, it's X, Y, and Z. Even in history, we're getting third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh generations of information. And to another thing too, as a woman, yes, women are villainized in the Bible, except for Mary. They
I
used,
totally agree.
and so it
Go
makes you
ahead.
feel as though, how am I to believe that a Middle Eastern man had blonde hair and blue eyes and skin that I could see through? Because see, also too, it puts the imagery in there as well. And then you read the Bible, and that's not even how I described the man. He had hair like sheep's wool. I don't know if any of you have ever touched a sheep before, but it's thick, it's curly. That's some coiled up hair, you know? And I'm like, I have seen men that look like that. but it sure enough ain't the brother y'all got hanging up in this church.
Right. And
And
skin
so
like
it
burnt brass. Yeah, I know.
right. So it's like if you ever seen burnt brass, it's dark. That's dark. You know, and it is not to discount religion. Because let
It
me
really
and this
doesn't
is
make sense because it's so
yeah,
hot there anyways that even if he was to be white, he still be up here dark because it's too hot. It's like 130
right.
degrees over there.
That's it. So how is it now? I am much darker. I'm probably about 3 shades darker than I really originally was when I lived on the East Coast because I'm in Arizona. It's hot out here. The sun will cook you, literally, right? One arm is always darker than the other arm because I drive with my arm out the window because I'm an old man inside. So it's like, why
Someone, hey
we
there, young blood.
yeah, and I'm shaking keys. You know, I be trying to get them young ones. So y'all better watch out, ladies. I'm coming for these young boys. No, I'm just playing. I'm not. I'm just joking. But it's like for real. You know,
Right.
science is a theory, right? So in my mind, when I read the Bible, it is parables. There are things that you can learn. There are things that we can see that human beings are still doing to this day. You know, we praise idol gods, money, a piece of paper that can burn up in a second. People roll it up and will, if anybody knows, run a line with it and get your day right. Right? I done
Yeah.
seen I done seen people
Now
go
they
up
said
there.
at one point it was trace amounts in every dollar bill.
Yeah, probably. I wouldn't be surprised. Just like Coca Cola. Coca Cola used to be made with the Coca Cola.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, in theory, religion in itself is not the problem because you have this same conversation in
I
any
disagree.
religion. Well, the reason I say that is this, not that the religion itself is wrong, it is the value that humans have given it, whether it's to use it to destroy us, whether it's used to degrade women and uplift men, or because I'll give you an example. There was a church that I attended, and the Bible was used to make the men in the congregation work even harder so they could bring more money into the church. See, those are the things I think a lot of people have problems with, is how human beings use it as a weapon. If religion was not weaponized, it wouldn't matter. But it is. It's weaponized and been in different facets. And
It's
that's
the
why you
ultimate
have,
weapon. It's
well,
not
that's one, it's
weaponized.
one
It
of,
is
but it
itself a weapon.
value, human value is the ultimate weapon. Because if you and I, we can have the same perspective, right, on particular things, but we're not going to agree on everything, right? Because if we agree on everything,
Right.
I'm a
Yeah.
question. Hey,
I'm gonna be
bro,
like, hold up, you a yes
come
man.
on, brother. What is this? You
Come
can
on.
tell me I'm wrong
That's a fact.
sometime, right?
Look at Mr. Me Too over here. That's what you trying to do.
But I say this though, that many times we miss one part of the Bible, right? You just go to the beginning of it about the
Oh, honey, yeah,
fruit that is the knowledge of good and evil. So if the person even doesn't even believe in the Bible, doesn't care to believe, whatever, it doesn't matter. If you think about that fruit and what does it mean, the knowledge of good and evil, that's really what all we're discussing on these platforms. Some people say some people's good. Some people say some people's evil. Some people say some people have hidden motives for this, or a person has good motives for that. That's what that introduced, and the knowledge of knowing that. Um, the animals don't really have the knowledge of good and evil for us to judge them on their behaviors, on what they do. I mean, we pay attention to them and make studies on them, but literally we don't think of them as being like we are, knowing what the righteous kill is. I imagine if you got children or something, right, and then you decide to go delete somebody behind your child, many people in the jury will say that's righteous, say that's we're going to put philosophy behind the simple thing, or if somebody does it in cold blood, we're going to say that's wrong and they shouldn't have did that. So
right.
that's what that particular thing introduced. If you're going to take anything,
Well,
from it. We're just
I would like to add this as more of a, you don't have to answer, but I have this question. Um, Take for instance the Mormon faith. Okay, now they use the King James Bible, and then they have their own version, right? So they have two, and several other books, right? Now they say that we suffer as people of color because God cursed us, because that's why we dark and they're not. Now, we know, due to scientific research, due to archaeologist research, due to just the natural of things, because people that look like how I'm going to assume they look back then still are being made in the same place they say the birthplace is, right? People are dark, people have straight, curly, some people are lighter. You can go to Ethiopia and Chris, I can find somebody look like you, right? I could
I know
go.
I've been there before, but go ahead, keep going.
Oh, awesome. And because I want to go to Kenya and I want to go to Ghana. Those are the two places I
I've
want to
been
go.
there before too. I would spend a lot of time in Nairobi. Go ahead, keep going.
Nice. Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that, Chris. You're gonna have to share that. So when you look at it in a totality, this human beings, we're the newbies in this setup. The primates been doing it longer than us. The bugs, they've been coming here whether we was here or not. Because it's gonna keep happening. And as we see, I always ask that question: if Adam and Eve were the first two people, then that meant, and I'm not trying to be weird, that meant that some brothers and sisters was hooking up, some cousins and stuff was making kids too.
Pause.
But that's what I'm saying. It had to be, because how do you populate the whole globe with all different looking people? We have all different types of, you know, DNA. We have different types of things as we learn more and more, because we're still up, we're infants in learning about who we are as human beings. Because I believe that the human
That's why we're
mind,
called human beings,
right,
because the human is trying to figure out his reason for being.
exactly.
It's a perfect name, perfect.
And it's when I say, like for instance, people will try to be facetious when I say I see people. So that means men, women, children, and anything else in between. Whatever color you are, we are human beings. We have a
The
universal.
race is human. The tribe, but we're tribal. I always tell
Right.
people that our race is human, but human nature is tribalism. People on the channels that have their own tribes, people
Every single
make their
one
own
of them.
tribes. Yeah,
Right.
we're just tribal biologically, but we're race is human, so we're all the same. Like yes, Eso
Exactly.
had said earlier, we all eat, we all use the
Yep.
bathroom, put left pants leg on, right pants
Right.
leg on, whatever.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Same thing. But we keep fighting and squander over it, and that's particularly the
We're
reasons why
arguing for
things are
stuff.
happening.
Yeah.
And
We're arguing for
they
stuff.
do that. The
Yeah.
powers that be understand that, so they do that.
And
They call it
even,
in Roman. They
yeah.
said bread and circus in Rome. That's what they called it in Rome, bread and circus, which means if you give people bread, which is money and monetary stuff, and circus things that entertain them, then they'll won't riot, won't whatever. You know what I'm saying? Bread and circus. That's what they called it.
Because I'm gonna tell you something. If the goals that I set put me in the financial position I want to be in, I would love to send a group of black folks all around the world to do the archaeology. To let's get our own history books. Let's go talk to these professors and old people and map out and learn, and that way we can teach our cultures. We can teach
That I
everywhere.
agree with.
You know what I'm saying? Everything that we have taken as hearsay or secondhand from other
Facts.
folks who got there first.
And that's the
Let
whole issue.
let's
That's
go
where we got to
back.
get back to. I'm
Right,
sorry. Go
let's
ahead.
go back again, and let's just go over one good time though. I think that is necessary for us, especially as black Americans, because
Facts.
we can, just like we cannot negate someone's feel, need, or desire, or your religious belief or religious perspective. We also cannot negate that there wouldn't have been any proof if archaeologists hadn't gone around to see if these places existed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there had to be questions. It's just like for me, I have question is why is the Vatican its own country? It's one of the
Man, that's a question that everybody keeps wondering, and
well,
they got a whole bunch of stuff under there too
yes, thank you.
that they
Yes,
won't show.
and
Yeah, I already know. Yeah,
they
they
take it
ain't
from
gonna never.
everywhere. And not that you, Chris, not that you don't. I don't. I'm not saying that you or Eso does do not know. I'm also saying it for the chat because it's like I want to be clear as to where I'm coming from with it. It is a very a genuine thing for a human being to be curious. That's the only way we have been
Facts.
able to find out anything about each other.
And that is the whole way that the Bible, all of the religions thrive, is based on that not knowing. That principle of a lot of people will not know and won't even seek to know. They will take someone else's word for it. And that person being a preacher or someone who they would trust or an elder in their community. And so the philosophy, and that's the whole thing. So they took, and it's so slick, took philosophy, theology, you know what I'm saying, biology, took all of those things, understanding basic principles that we already had, and made it into this religion, which would make sense to a lot of people. And so a lot of people will take it at face value and not even want to do the research to figure out, is this true or not? And we'll say, okay, well, I mean, the philosophy behind it is sound. If I believe and it is a God, and I'm going to heaven. And, you know
There
what
it
I
is.
mean? If not, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to the other place. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. You know that, and for me, because I was raised in the church, I was raised in the Nation of Islam. I was raised a part of learning about the Jehovah Witnesses, all of those things. Like my father went down the gauntlet, and when we got out of the Nation of Islam, we went back into being we went back to the church and we were Baptists. So my sister and I were baptized, right? And when you go through that process, they tell you being washed clean. Now we're children, so I always try to figure this out. How is it that if a child is born, they're born into sin? What sin?
Mm-hmm. Sin is ignorance.
What sin of what? Right? Like, what did the baby do? Because it
Born
came
into
here.
sin, born not knowing. You know what I'm saying?
But
Born
see,
born ignorant.
but
That's why
again,
back in the day they used to cry when a baby was born. Like we have it kind of confused as modern people because, like in some places, like in New Orleans and different places, they still practice that.
well,
But
yeah.
yeah, it
Mhm.
used to be where we actually cried when a baby was born. We would cry literally. People would wear black and be sad. And the reason why is because all the things that that child would have to go through when they made it to adult age. And then when a person passed on, they would have a party and be happy and, glad because they no longer had to deal with the struggles of what this life brings. You know what I'm saying?
And see,
But
here's
go
the
ahead, keep
thing.
going.
No, you got it. My issue is this. How is it then? I've met people who genuinely have never had any kind of struggles financially, right? There are people who didn't, they grew up not wanting for nothing, not being made fun of because their clothes wasn't the
That's
latest,
what's up.
not, being, beat up or ridiculed or any of those things, or walking to school and the dealers is trying to get you. There are people that exist that have never experienced anything like that, right? But then they'll grow up and be serial deleters, right? Or there's something not quite right, or they feel less than, or what they call because you had and a lot of people didn't have, then there's guilt. Why?
Mental
you
illness.
you didn't bring yourself into the situation. Someone else, two people decided to do something, and maybe not even, maybe one person decided to do something, and now we have you're here. So how can you be of anything, because you're only learning what who brought you here and what they've learned. So if all that me and Chris we still together, I'm mad at him, he mad at me. But the minute somebody asks us, well, how well, we done been together for 20 years. So we know what we talking about.
Now,
But
I think what happens is more so a whole community of people who feel as though they are victims because of the history that we are told.
well,
And the basic history is okay. At one point, you, if you had this skin color, you was the workers, and these people who had this skin color, they was getting rich off of your labor, and there's nothing you can do about it. And then so now we are the children of the victims, and they like, oh, well, pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
child, right. And you ain't got no boots and you ain't got no straps. You walking with your bare feet. But then a black man will turn around and say, "Oh, well, now you being a victim."
Yeah, you being a victim. I ain't had no boots either. Look how I
Right.
got it. You know
But
what I'm saying?
again, right, it doesn't call for nuance. And I think that's the problem as well when perspectives of religion come into play, it's because there is nuance. Like I just said, like I love true crime. I can listen to it in my sleep, child. It's a horrible, horrible addiction. But what I
I was
have
gonna say
learned,
horrible because of the
no,
stories
the
is
I
stranger
say,
than fiction. This shit's
but I tell you
crazy.
this
I
though,
already know.
the one thing I've learned is human pattern. Human pattern you can't get away from. What do they say that a man will take a woman out for the fastest? Money, cheating, and
Yeah,
lying, right?
I was gonna say if because of like I said, mental illness. Sometimes
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah.
these people who
Yeah,
had those things in them thoughts in them, like, cause we
they already
all
got
have these wild thoughts, but we
them.
all are suppressing. And that's when they say, I think, born in sin, born in ignorance, and not necessarily born knowing what good or bad is. You know what I'm saying? And
Well, it's
I
just
think,
like not knowing what black or white is.
and
I
so
didn't
right, and
know, right. I didn't know I was black until somebody told me,
exactly.
until my
And
mama
so
told
when we
me,
tell
right?
children this,
Yes.
we are
Hmm.
telling them that that they are bad or negative or something that is not good. If we
Right.
starting them out behind, and I don't know if y'all heard of what's his name, Umar. He said, I think it was him who said it, but he
You
pretty
talking
much
about
was
from the
saying,
wire?
huh?
You talking about from the wire? Umar from the
Oh,
wire?
no, no, no. Dr. Umar, I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know who you are. I was just being an ass clown. Go ahead, though. I know who
But
he
nah,
is.
he said some real shit. He was saying there's no place where you have a black bank, a black grocery store, a black, you know what I'm saying? It was something else. But it was like, where we have our own food, our own money, our own, you know what I'm saying, everything. And it's like the reason that is we can't say it's not systematic. Like if you know of things like redlining, you know all these issues that people got, and then so it's like, okay, if we not supposed to be victims, and but at the same time being victimized, you know what I'm saying? It's like what?
But you can do both. You can have both going on though. It's like Stockholm syndrome, right? How can I not be a victim of circumstance? Because that's what it should be. Put the context needs to be put behind it, because when we say victim, we try to make it sound like people are weak, and people are blaming, or can't get out of their situation. There are a sector of folks who don't know what to do to get out of their situation. Got you. But that's why we have the different things that assist us as we have learned. We learned about college. It's not like college showed up to you as a person and showed up and said, listen, I got all the answers for you. Come here, you're going to get a degree, you're going to work at a corporation that's not created by your own people, but the same people who set up college in the first place. Because college
Right,
wasn't
same
for
thing with the
us.
military. It was
Right.
everybody
It,
knew the avenues that you could take. You
right.
know what I'm saying? And but it's at the same time, okay, it's set up like that.
Right. This is
You get
all
what I
this
mean?
was
Like
you talking
if
about people who
you
planned hundreds of years in advance. It's like Their ancestors thought 100 years out. So then by the time the new generation was born, here they go. They got the clock and they could keep pushing.
Damn, my phone about to die. Hold on, I'll be back, guys.
So it
What
comes
would you
down
would
to
you say
that.
your passion was? Chocolate. What'd you
What
say
you
your
say?
favorite show was?
I said, I've been to criminals and true
Even
story.
after yesterday, even after this morning.
Yeah. I can't, I'm not gonna mention, you told me not to say nothing.
Yeah, I was
You
just
want me to
checking.
talk about it?
No,
You want
what
me to
you think?
tell?
You doing
Oh,
good,
okay.
Chris?
What you
Uh,
said?
I say you doing good, Chris.
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Try and get it like you. Did you check it out though, chocolate?
I told you I was.
What you think?
I ain't done yet.
I'm saying, did you not one, two?
I'm not gonna tell you nothing. I'm not gonna say nothing. You told me not to say nothing.
Tell me what you think. Okay, what's the rate?
So far, I give it an 8.
Chris, I ain't gonna leave you out. I'm gonna send it to you too. I fuck with you.
So he came up so politely and came and hung out with me. We were talking about love, and I have a series I've been working on, and we was talking about. We was looking at this video. Ashley was making me laugh because he was saying people was lying. Talking about we was talking about them folk though, but it was funny. I don't know if you've ever watched Chris, do you know about a channel called Black Love?
No, I don't. I don't know about the channel called Black Love.
It's a
You tell me
channel
about it though.
it's a channel on YouTube, like for real. It's called Black Love. And I'm a huge fan because it talks about all types of relationships, whether you single, newly married, been married a long time, intimacy, like it goes, and then it has conversations with nothing but men, be they young or older, giving each other advice or just sharing their information about how they were doing in their relationships. And the consensus has been, yes, we need you to tell us or give us an example of how what good relationships look like or healthy relationships look like, because if we keep basing it off of only what we see as far as like around us, or let's just say if somebody is basing it on the spaces they go in, they gonna think it's just transactional, because that's how we talk about it, kind of like what we were talking about earlier. There's depth to religion, spirituality, right? That's the goal. The goal is to find a connection between your feet being on the earth and the sky being above you, and you're trying to find your way with in between that, because truly we small, we little compared to an elephant, compared to a lion. There's things out here that can take us out.